Hey, I hope you and your family is doing well on this rise. Just wanted to come and talk to you for a moment. I'm outside. It's a sunny, kind of crispy day today. So I love when the weather's like this. It's not hot, it's not cold, kind of chipper. I guess that would be a good description. I wanted to just come, just chop it up with you a little bit. So, and I want you to get to know me on a more personal level. And I know I've shared my story with you on some of my lives. I've shared my story in some old videos. I probably shared my story as well. But I've been gone for a while. I'm coming back, so kind of fresh and new. And for those who maybe not familiar with me, you can get to know me. How about that? So, yeah, so I grew up in a household with 3 other siblings, and my parents didn't love animals, and it's so funny because we all love animals. It's so weird. They would forbid. You would not bring any dog, cats, nothing, not even goldfish, okay? So I don't know why that came to my mind. It's just so funny to me because all 4 of us love animals, right? I love my cat. I'm more of a cat person. I don't have anything against dogs unless they're little, like as far as being in the house. But them big ones, I will have to build you a dog house, okay? And you will be in there. That will be your home. Anyway. So yeah, and then they were divorced, and my mom raised us as a single mom, and she was young. By the time she was 24, she had 4 children. By the time she was 24. When I became an adult, I realized she wasn't ready for all that, So she was kind of lenient, where my dad was very strict. She was very lenient. I hope y'all can hear me because the wind is blowing. But yeah, she was very lenient, and my dad was very strict. And his phone is rocking. Sorry about that. And so, he was real strict that we couldn't do any after school curriculum. My dad was like, go to school, learn what you're supposed to learn, and then go to college, and then work for a corporation, and then retire. That old process, right? And some people still follow that process. And those are the people that I work with. Those high achieving women that got all the degrees, high position CEOs, entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I should say I engage with a lot of entrepreneurs. So, y'all can see my eyes. I got these shades on because the sun is like right there in my face. But I like the lighting of it. Anyway, so I did that. I got some college. I didn't get a degree or anything like that because in my young adult years, I was working and going to school, and it was a lot. I didn't have my first child until I was 25, so I didn't have children and was going to. I commend you, all of you, men and women, that have children and you go to school and work a job. My goodness. I commend you for that. I really do, because just me being a single person and going to college and then going to work was a lot. And at that time, I didn't even have a car. I was on the bus. So I would be on the bus doing my homework. Sometimes I would be on the bus sleep. That was the only time I would get some sleep, because I would be up late at night doing homework. Some of y'all can relate, right? Yeah, I know. Rough. And anyway, as I start figuring out what it was I wanted to do in my life, I kept getting into different networking opportunities. And that was my first taste at being an entrepreneur. And it was when I realized that I've always kind of been entrepreneurial in my heart, even as a child. You know, I was thinking like, we could probably make money doing this, I would tell my older brother. And it would fall on deaf ears, like, children. But I grew up in the hood, but I will say some of the best entrepreneurs came out of the hood. Yeah, came out of the hood. Some of our best minds came out of the hood, y'all. Quiet as it may be kept. Geniuses came out of the hood. Anyway, so yeah, I always made straight A's in school, grade school, middle school, high school. I didn't finish high school, so I just didn't have any guidance. But my mother was working, doing her thing, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't trust anybody, not even myself. Yeah. Just kind of on my own. And so I left home at 17 years of age. That was a wild, wild year and a half of my life. A wild year and a half of my life. Oh my God. So much. I'll tell that story another day. Anyway, as an adult, figuring things out, what I want to do, at least I thought I was figuring it out and what I wanted to do. After a wild year and a half and then getting my life together, like I said, working and going to college, and then meeting my children's father, and then getting married. And before that, it was just looking for love in all the wrong places, including him. Okay? Including him. The best thing about that is I got 4 wonderful children that came out of that marriage for 14 years. And I stayed in that marriage for 14 years because I'm a person of my word. And I took those vows, which to me are promises, very seriously. And I said I would marry you and be with you, and I meant it. No matter what. It wasn't until, I knew that I knew that I wasn't receiving the love that I knew that I deserved. Deep down inside, I knew I deserved better. Okay? I started learning about me during that marriage. I started learning who I am, what my values are, what my relationship values were, family values, money values, spiritual values, health values, those core, what I call those 5 core values that I want to look at in a relationship, because they're they hold up the foundation of relationships, because life is going to throw you things, but you have those 5 core values in common. You're on the same page with that, you can overcome anything else that life throws at you in your relationship. So anyway, and when we had children is when I really was learning about myself. And I learned, one of the things that I learned was that you learn a lot about yourself in relationships than you do when you're not in a relationship. You're going to learn some other stuff, but you learn different things in relationships. When you have relationships with coworkers, with your boss, intimate relationships with your children, It's a lot of things that you learn about who you are. And that's what I did. I learned about who I was. And then I started delving into self-help books. Now, I didn't know it was a whole industry at that time. And I was trying I was attempting different network marketing opportunities, because I wanted to work for myself, because I just kind of saw at that time that I didn't want to work a job my whole life. I worked at a bank, saw the cutthroat stuff there. My boss was so, I don't know what her problem was. I called them witches because they was in it together. And I would call them witches. Just behind your back and behind the scenes doing stuff, But Source always had my back because I wasn't doing anything wrong. Anyway. But I had my first child, was going to work and taking her to a wonderful person. Home daycare. And I still visit that lady to this day. I love her. And my daughter. She kept my daughter until she started school. Yeah. So anyway, so I left. And after the divorce, I moved out of state to avoid a lot of unnecessary drama. I didn't want to put myself through that, nor my children. So moved out of state with his permission, of course. I didn't just up and do that. And I did everything to prepare my children for that breakup, And and so before I did that, I had a very successful mobile notary business going on. And I was in financial services as well. So I had my life insurance license and my Series 6 and 63. Yes. And so, was doing my thing and got into being a mobile notary and started doing that. And I started having success with that. And I liked it. And so I was able to save up enough money to move out of state. That was in 2008. Y'all remember what happened in 2008? Yeah. And it trickled down. And I wasn't doing any closings or anything. So I had to go back to corporate America. And I moved up to management in that position. And it's so cutthroat. People smiling in your face and saying all kind of stuff about you behind your back. Setting you up this way. I gotta see people get set up. I was set up once. I didn't get fired though, like the person thought I would. In that position, upper management, and meeting, with even the higher ups and people in those positions, especially women, I felt like it was always a swarm, of vultures just waiting on me to mess up. Now, I was overseeing a team of 18 associates, and I had the number 2 team in that department. The number 1 team was the person that trained me, and he was hell-bent that I wasn't going to care, because I told him I'm gonna be number 1, because I'm competitive that way. And he said, I don't think so. He was cool, though. He was a cool person. But I saw how it was just stressful. You have to, just the way it was set up, and overseeing 18 people, and then they're, going above you, saying things, and then you got the person above you that don't want you to take their job or their position. They don't want you to get their position. So they're going to do whatever it takes so you don't get their position. And I was so stressed and so just burnt out, but I felt stuck because I was like, well, I don't know what I would do. I had got accustomed to a certain lifestyle by then, and me and my babies was doing just fine. And so I felt stuck. And, with the different expenses, I'm trying to set this thing where I'm just hoping the wind doesn't blow it. But yeah, so just having the different things, what I call handcuffs, car note, mortgage, upkeep, just different things that we have to think about, I call them handcuffs because they keep you stuck. I felt so stuck in that position. And I was burnt out. And just having to get up and go there every day and deal with all of the competition. Either I had to outdo myself, do better. If I did good last quarter, I had to do even better this quarter. I had to, outdo myself or outdo the other person. If I want to keep my position, at least that was the thought. That was the feeling. And it feels like you're fighting to keep your position all the time. On breaks and lunch, I would hear my co-workers, talk about how they was feeling the same way. How they was feeling the same way. But they was okay with it. I wasn't. I just kept thinking, I gotta get out of here. I gotta find a way out. And one day, my daughter, I was talking to her and she said, Mom, why don't you drive Lyft? You can make as much as you want. Downsize, all your children are grown. Well, at that time, I still had the two boys at home. That's right. I still had the two boys at home. But they were, up teenagers. And I decided, I said, one day I went and something was going on. I forget what was going on. Something happened. And there was so much happening at that place, but one day this person that was above me, I don't know what got into her, but one day she wanted to touch my hair. I was like, I was so done. I was done, really, after that. If it wasn't for this particular person that had befriended me, I would have left that day. But eventually I did leave. And I didn't do anything for about 2 or 3 months. Now, because I had a successful notary business before all of that, I still had monies that I had invested and things like that I had saved. But I went shopping, when we moved into our new place in our new state, I went shopping and stuff. So I had spent a lot of it. And I knew I needed to do something because we needed medical and things like that because I had my 3 children. So anyway, all of those life things, right? I'm sharing this with you because some of you out there, especially women, because one of the things that I notice about women in upper management and CEOs and places like that, positions and places and positions, is we tend to lose a certain part of our femininity, and we become very masculine. Very masculine. Another thing that I notice as I would listen to those conversations and sometimes just observing some of those people, was they were stressed too. It shows up on your face. It shows up in ways that you don't even recognize. You're trying to play it off, put your mask on and smile and play it off and all of that. But I'm very empathic and intuitive, and I was picking up on all of that stuff. And a lot of them were feeling stuck, like they couldn't go nowhere, because that was all they had been doing. And some of them been with the company for like years and years and years. And I would ask, if you wasn't doing this, what would you be doing? Like, what would you really would love to be doing? And they would tell me. And that's one of the questions I ask to this day. When I quit, it was the scariest thing I ever did, because I still had 3 young children at home. And it was, but it was at the same time it was scary. It also was freeing. Like it was like I knew deep inside that I made the right decision. I just didn't know what I was gonna do, so I started driving Lyft, and this is the jacket I earned, driving Lyft, and I wear it proudly because it meant freedom to me. This meant freedom, and I did that, and I didn't know it was gonna put me on the path of what I do to this day. I didn't know that, but I never felt so free. And I was able to do other things and focus more so even on my children. I was that type of mom anyway, to focus on my children. And I was given a presentation one day, and somebody said, I was given a networking presentation, and I got to talking about parents and stuff, and your children, and getting them involved with what you do and stuff like that. And somebody said, you should be a parenting coach, or you should write a book, or you should be a speaker. I was like, what? I should what? No. They said, just look into it. I thank that person to this day, because I did. I looked into it. What caused me to look into it was I was listening to this, it was a preacher, and he said, in order for you to find out what you came here to do, he said, one of the things you can do is ask people that know you very well, like what lights you up, what makes your hands sweat, what you love talking about. And when you talk about it, you just light up. And I did. I asked my children, I asked my closest friend, who is my cousin, and to my surprise, they said the same thing. You love teaching. You like teaching folks finances, learning about finances, and just in helping people. You always helping people solve their problems and stuff. I thought about that and sat with it and was like, wow, that's true. I remember for Christmas, I got a little chalkboard. Oh my God, that was the best gift that anybody could have ever bought for me. I don't know if my mom bought it, my dad, or what. I got that chalkboard and my siblings became my students. I'll never forget it. It brought back that memory, and I've never let that memory go. People that meet me and don't know me, they automatically think I'm some sort of counselor or teacher or something. These were clues. These were clues that I will be doing what I'm doing to this day. So I looked into it, and it was, somebody had mentioned that, you know, you were a coach or look into being a coach or something like that, a parenting coach. And so I looked into that, you know, because I thought, like, who am I to tell people how to raise their children, not knowing that that's not what it was about. Anyway, I went through Joe Vitale's extensive program, got certified, and then I hired a business coach. I went to that place, you know, that place that it's called Title Loans. I went to Title Loans and gave them people my car so I can pay for her. Yes, I did. I've never been afraid to invest in myself. To this day, I will invest my last penny if I need to. I'll sell whatever. If I feel like you got the knowledge I need to help me and you willing to guide me, I'll pay for it. Never had a problem with that. So anyway, and with her guidance and what she taught me, I created an online course for parents. And then I proceeded to write an ebook. Yeah. Then went on a spiritual retreat and met a wonderful person, and we started a blog talk radio show together. It was called One Single Mother to Another, and I was having fun. I was having fun. And then I decided, you know, I probably should have some money coming in. Now my money was getting really low, like really low. And so I had to get a job again, working from home. This time I was working from home. So that was cool. Didn't have to deal with cutthroat stuff. Everything was online. Everything was online. I did that for a little bit. And then after I saw how things were there, I started driving Lyft again, and I haven't looked back. The people that I helped started referring people to me. While I was driving, I always had to minister to people. It was like one in every third person that got in my car, I promise you, was somebody that I had to minister to. So I had to talk with Source. And I said, listen, is this something I'm supposed to be doing? Because this is coming back around again. And I was in a deep meditation at this time, and I was shown that I had always been doing this. I just thought, wow, I've always been doing this. Look at her, talking about myself. And I said, well, you need to give me a sign, Source. I need a sign. And it has to be one I cannot deny. And then I forgot about it. And a couple of weeks later, a person gets in my Lyft ride. And at the end of that ride, it was a round trip. And this person told me, you know, I've been seeing a therapist for the last 2 years. And you've helped me in the short time that I've been in your car more than this therapist has. In 2 years, I should be giving you this money. And I said what I always said, oh, you'll be fine, and give them some useful, what I know now is tips, some useful tips that you can use right away, bring them up out of some things that I use. Totally forgot about that conversation. And then I felt this thump in the back of my head, literally. And then, I thought it was a muscle spasm or something because I forgot about that conversation. And then I felt it in my gut. And I said, oh, okay, source. I remember. What's next? And then I was just guided what my colors was going to be and what the name of my business was going to be called. It was going to be called UMastery because you're going to be teaching people how to master themselves because you have mastered yourself. Not that I know everything, not that I don't experience anything, and not that I don't have my moments and stuff. The difference is I catch myself. I can hear myself now. Because we can't see ourselves, right? We can't hear ourselves. And so when people talk to me certain ways, I know the language, I can hear it, and I know exactly what it is. And then over time, learning NLP and going on spiritual retreats, and got certified as a Reiki healer and learning different various meditations, quantum healing, getting certified as a quantum healer all throughout the years. And then learning that I had certain spiritual gifts. And I'll tell that story one day, and how that happened is so funny. And so here I am now, talking to you. Because I was once you. I was once that corporate person that was burnt out, that was stuck, that was tired, and I was angry. Did you know that diabetes is attached to anger? As healthy as I was eating and exercising and doing all the right things, and they said that I was diagnosed with diabetes. And then as I kept learning and being on my spiritual journey, which is never ending, okay? Learning things. There's so much to learn, so much to know. And I learned that diabetes was attached to anger because I was angry. I was angry. Why you want to touch my hair? Why these people going behind my back saying these things and I don't bother nobody? I haven't done anything to anyone. All these different things. I had anger from childhood. Yeah. So I just wanted to come on here, talk to you for a minute. It's been 33 minutes. I want you to get to know who I am and how I got to be where I am and doing what I do. It's what I came here to do. I love it. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love what I do. When a person sends you a video telling you how much their life have changed and, and how they are free emotionally from certain traumas, when they see clearly, when they're deprogrammed, you can't put a price on it. But now my hands are cold. The sun is going down. It's getting cold now. I will see y'all on the next video. I love you because I'm overflowing with love for myself, and it can only flow over into you. See you on the next video.